happened was, with just a matter of laps, I'm dragging the gas tank, the fairing. And so the best that the gas tank ever performed in stabilizing the fuel was that first day. Because the next step was had to narrow it up, and when you narrow it up, you have to maintain the amount of fuel capacity, so you have to give up something, and they started having to give up the baffling, right, which is stabilize the fuel. And the other thing that happened, and which caused that dragging issue, was the fact of rear radial tire, the increase in performance that they just didn't anticipate. And so they had the bike at a certain lean angle and different things, and I'm leaning it further. And so anyway, that was my first feel on the bike, and we went to Australia and tested it, and it was okay, but it was just, the problem was, like I said, is that as the tire performance dramatically improved, we just run out of ground clearance, and they had to narrow up the gas tank and give up baffling, and it caught me out a few times.
Yeah, it's incredible that they could actually be almost too clever for their own good. I mean, they build amazing motorcycles. That 500, in my opinion, is the most beautiful 500 ever, with bodywork on.
Yeah, they had it at Goodwood this year, and I had them, Rocky and the guys, I had them take the gas tank and the fairing and stuff off, and they showed it, and you would believe all the different riders and GP guys come over, because you see pictures of it, it never leaves Japan, and there's only this one copy, and so it's really an incredible workmanship, but it was so difficult to work on with the pipes and stuff over the top, and when I had a problem, like at Daytona, I had one of the top pipes split and burned a hole in the top of the gas tank, and I ran the last 10 laps with fumes and
it still won races though. You won in us, and Randy, you were in.
Well,
Randy
I won the
in
Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I won the Italian Grand Prix at Misano, and I won a couple others on it. Randy won at Silverstone. Aston, I was leading the race by quite a bit, and plug cap came off.
Ah, that's right. Couldn't get it.
No, George was trying. No, you couldn't get to it, because of the pipes and stuff. But anyway, one of the insert things that broke and went 25-cent piece on $1 million piece of equipment.
And was there a decision middle of the season that this was not going to work for the next year?
Well, this is kind of what happened with that. Is at Salzburg Ring, I won the Italian Grand Prix, went to Donington. I had a wheel explode on me, actually, at Kyalami, the carbon fiber wheel. We found out that the carbon fiber wheel, no matter how much they tested this thing, you can imagine, for days and months. I take it to Daytona, and just in a 200-mile race, and this rear wheel was only on the bike after the second fuel stop, and it started coming apart. So just the loads at Daytona, compared to anything else. And in fact, what saved me actually was the pipe split. And when the pipe split, it killed the power. And that wheel, I noticed with about 5 laps to go, I was coming down off the banking, and Daytona, Neil's been there, it's very interesting. You have the banking is 33 degrees, you can't walk up it. But you're so loaded, and then you drive down and on the exits of NASCAR 2 and 4, and it rolls off. And so at the speed we're going, you have to really get it down on the bottom, or when it rolls off, it'll just drive you right up toward the wall. Like you see in a NASCAR race, where they come out right on against the wall. Well, we stay on the bottom. But anyway, with about 5 or 6 laps to go, with this pipe split, and I'd been leading the race, and then when the pipe split, Kenny caught me and got around me. And so I noticed that I couldn't keep the bike down. It kind of wanted to walk up the banking on the exits and even through the trial. So after the race, doing the debrief, and we're talking about all the issues and stuff, and John Harrison is there. John, now Michelin engineer, great engineer. And John goes, well, how'd the tire work? And I said, well, it was great until about the last 5 or 6 laps, John. I don't know what's wrong with that tire, but I said, the power's down. I don't know if it would have finished, but it's moving around on me. He said, okay, we'll check it. We'll see. So we go to Kyalami, right, the next weekend. And I go out, first session, I'm on the pole, Eddie's second. And come in to change tire, put another tire in. I go out of the pits, and you remember the old Kyalami. Did you ever race?
Yeah.
Okay. You go down, it's right, and then you're down this hill. And just when I turn to the left, I look back, because I want to get out of the way. It was Barry Sheen. I go to wave, next thing I know, I'm looking at a hay bale, right? And I look at the bikes there, and the hub is on the rim. So my feet, it broke my feet up pretty good. So I get back to the garage and we're sitting there and Irv walks up to me and he goes, you know, that wheel's the one that we had on the bike in the second fuel stop that you thought the tire was going bad. And he goes, thank God that the pipe split because it lasted a half a lap, right?
Jeez. Daytona.
At Daytona, if that thing would have come apart on me, you never know, right? So anyway, so the technology on that bike and stuff was great and it worked pretty good, except when we got to altitude, like at Salzburg, which is what I was going to say, and we wouldn't even pull on the back straight. We'd barely pull 6th gear. We could rich it up, lean it up. It didn't matter. We figured out again with the pipes over the top and just getting enough air to the carburetors at that altitude was so thin. It was too much hot air. It wasn't enough cool air, and so you know, just trying to figure that stuff out. Well, after that race, I finished second because Randy actually let me by, which I got up on the podium and I got booed, right? Because factory guy, and I'd given Randy my 2 3-cylinders because he didn't have a ride, and you know, and I wanted to try to help him out. So he had my 2 3-cylinders, and which were good bikes. And so there was no team orders. He just did it on his own. He knew I was struggling. I told him, thank you very much, but don't ever do that again. I mean, it was just, you could imagine. In Salzburg, the work, because of the hill, it just reverberates through the valley, you know. And so we go to Germany the next week, to Nürburgring. And in practice the first day, struggling again, it's altitude. So I tell them that I want a 3-cylinder. And they said, well, we'll get Randy's. I said, no, I don't want to take one of Randy's. So they go back to the workshop. It's exactly what happened. Jerry Burgess, who is one of my mechanics, and Mr. Kanazawa, they go back to the workshop in Belgium, and they get Marco Lucanelli's 1983 bike that's sitting in the lobby all winter, and they bring it to the track, and they found an 83 engine because the 84 engine wouldn't fit an 83 chassis, and they found that they had a set of pipes that they could use. So anyway, they spent all night getting this bike together. At 8 o'clock the next morning, Saturday morning, they come in and go, we found you a 3-cylinder. But there's a couple of issues. One is you can only do 5 laps this morning and 6 laps in the afternoon because we only have 1 set of pipes and no morning warm-up. But it's a new engine in it, you know. And so I go out and practice and do 5 laps in the morning, and I do, I think, 5 laps in the afternoon, and got pole position. And so, but I noticed that on the straightaway, the 84 bikes, you know, were quite a bit, well, they were, you know, a little faster. Anyway, I was very fortunate, I was able to win the race. But that race was one that they said, you know, we're going to have to do something because probably go back to conventional. And so we were able to push the envelope with the 84 bike, but they, you know, in the belief at the time, and this was the main reason why they built the bike with gas tank on the bottom, is the belief was like a car, get the center of gravity as low as possible. Keep the bikes flat, so in corner entry under braking, the bike would come in this direction to try to reduce the amount of weight transfer forward and back. And it didn't work. It was not the way to go, and it taught us that valuable lesson, because you'd have to run the steering at an angle so steep as we did in 82, 83, and even in 84 by keeping the bikes flat. And that's why if you've ever seen a picture of me in a corner in the front end turn this direction, Chuck, have you ever seen that photo?
Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose, you know. I would run the bikes in, and that was the only way I could get the thing, you know, because it'd go in at the corner speed I wanted to, it'd run beyond the front end's ability to grip. And so I would use the throttle and lean angle, picking it up offside to change that. But that taught us a lot, you know, and pushing that kind of that edge of technology with the NR and then with the 3-cylinder, trying aerodynamics, light, okay, that's not, we need a 4-cylinder, put the gas thing on the bottom, trying to, you know, put the COG low and all these things. You could look at it and say that certainly in 84, pushing that maybe cost me the world championship that year, but it's what built the bike that won all the world championships for the next 16 years, right?
And so it was back to the drawing board, and arguably the bike cost you the world championship. So the next year a lot of people said at the time trying to win 2 world championships in a modern era, if you like, was impossible, and probably would be now. But so were you trying to get two for one back in the next season, just trying to grab another couple of world championships and do 250 and 500?
Well, certainly it wasn't so much trying to be greedy. It was just the fact that it was so frustrating when I came off the racetrack at the Dutch Grand Prix in June of '84. After leading the race, I came in on 3 cylinders. We couldn't get the spark plug cab on because you couldn't get your hand in between the gas tank or the pipes. So I go back out and circle around, and then it seizes up, and so I'm coming in, and so we sit down in the motorhome, and this is what happened. Is Honda had a 250 production bike. It wasn't even a real race bike, so they didn't really have a 250, and but they. I know that they might consider it, I thought. So I said, what about if we try to do the 2 championships? And it was really the greatest thing we could do. And not just because we won it, but because it gave my 2 engineers